Hello, friend. Today we're going to chat about our beautiful type, which is called a reflector or an evaluator. These are very precious beings that we have on this planet, and they are about 0.1% of the population. What's really interesting is I live in an area of Canada. It's in the province of Alberta, and I just live outside of the city of Grande Prairie. And this area is a very awake area. Lots of spiritual beings here, lots of beings that practice their spirituality. And what's really fascinating is that there is so many reflectors up here. I am currently working with a business and doing large business engineering through the human design system, and just on staff of, I think they have about, altogether there's about 40 employees, and they have 2 evaluators on their staff. So it's really interesting to watch that dynamic. So there's some teachers in human design that have never seen an evaluator chart, and there's numerous ones up here. But anyway, I'm grateful for that because I get to learn quite a bit. So first off, the aura of a reflector or an evaluator is one that is what we call sampling. And it's like a Teflon that they have. They go along and they're just sampling the auric field of other people. And you see here in the body graph, they don't have any centers that are colored in. All they have are these what we call hanging gates or hanging traits. They're really here to meet those gates on the other side and to really just evaluate it. They're really here to just meet life, evaluate it, reflect it back. And they're not here to get caught up in all of life. They are beautifully wise beyond their years. And what's really fun is when a reflector is able to use their strategy, and you see here it says wait for a lunar cycle. So a lunar cycle is anywhere between 28.5, 29.5 days. And when a reflector or an evaluator, takes the time to pay attention to the moon, to pay attention to their own chart, what happens is there's almost this, it's like a clock that's ticking inside of them, and they can feel when the moon is in particular gates, when it moves out of that gate. They can feel all of that within them. And our world is not built for a reflector. Our world is, I want to be satisfied right now, immediate satisfaction. I want a decision right now. Like we see this in everything that is sold. Oh, limited time offer, blah, blah, blah. And these beings, and if you are a reflector or an evaluator, know that none of that stuff is for you. It isn't, because if the pressure is on to making a decision immediately, that is all built off a not self strategy. Not self. And the not self is trying to make decisions through the mind, and the not self is creating this chaotic, distracted world. So never feel bad that you need time, and tell people, it's completely up to you to tell them. Talk to people about this. So that lunar cycle, what you're going to notice is that if you're making decisions spontaneously, like the world wants you to, there's so much disappointment. But if you're making decisions through waiting for that lunar cycle, it just becomes a place of awe, a place of surprise. You know, it just shifts it, because that lunar cycle allows you to see and awaken to what you're meant to see. And that lunar cycle gives your body and your cellular structure time to evaluate and sample whatever it is that you need to sample, to bring in whatever wisdom you need to bring in to make the decision. And it doesn't only have to be one lunar cycle. Like, big decisions might take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 lunar cycles. Who knows? But it's all that timing is up to you. So when we look at different evaluator charts, so when it says no definition, there's actually no centers or functions that are colored in, because you're just here to sample. So I don't know if you've looked at any of the other, sorry, I keep yawning in this one. If you've looked at any of the other videos on type, but you know, the way I look at it is, an analogy is, our manifestors are the nose of the plane, and they're breaking wind, and they're moving obstacles out of the way to move forward. Then we have our generators, and they are the engines, they're the thrust, you know, they're building and moving and creating that energetic field that holds that plane up. Then we have the projector, and that projector advisor is the rudder, and it's, you know, helping guide that plane. And then our evaluators and reflectors, you're here to be that instrument panel and say, you know, here we are, here's how things are going, you know, this is the way that we're heading, and this is, you know, what the gauge is saying about that direction. Environment. Ooh, thank you for your patience. I keep yawning. There's lots moving here, I think. Environment is everything. Who you have around you as an evaluator is so crucial to the health of your being. The identity center and the lack of definition in that identity center is critical to your movement in this life. You need to be initiated, and if you're being initiated in a way that's healthy, then you're in a healthy environment. But if you're being initiated in a way that is unhealthy and you're full of disappointment, take a look at the people around you. Projectors and evaluators, really critical to have correct people in your environment. So when we look at a reflector chart, and I'm just going to pull up the mandala. So here's an example. So the fifth gate is right here in the sacral center. And this fifth gate is colored in. So what it's doing is saying, okay, when I meet the 15th gate, so when the moon is down here in the 15th gate, your decision-making process is going to go, okay, this is information and wisdom that I am gaining about the flow of life, the magnetism of the people in life, the extreme of flow of other people. You're learning all of that, and you're becoming wise to it. And then you get to see these extremes and go, okay, how do I feel about this flow in my life? How do I feel about this? Because really it's about you having this, how do I want to say, it's like this visceral feeling within self when you know that the decision is right for you. You know, Ra would say it's just this overall, you know, knowing that happens, because evaluators are so darn wise. So darn wise. And good, bad, or otherwise, the wisdom is being brought to you through the planets, through, and really through other people as well, but through that lunar cycle. You're very much connected to, just like the manifester, to the transits, to the planetary neutrino stream. But it's not about being conditioned by it. It's not about making unhealthy decisions through the mind. It's about seeing the wisdom of what is presented, sampling it, and then going, okay, I've provided myself with enough time because there's this visceral feeling to move forward with a decision or not. And really, as wise beings, you know, you're not here to overextend yourself and to use your physical body, you know, working your butts off. And what's really fun is that, you know, in having conversations with evaluators or reflectors, is during a full moon, there's so much energy that they can't sleep. And during the new moon, there's such low energy that they can't get up. So that's really fun to watch. And the moon's powerful, right? The moon is super powerful. It pulls us up into our life. It you know, it can move our oceans. So if it can move our oceans, it can move our blood pressure. It can move our lymph, you know, serum that runs through us. It moves all of that. Our spinal fluid, all of that kind of stuff is being pulled, pushed, you know, and manipulated by the moon. It brings us our experiences, and it brings you your experiences. So watch how waiting for that lunar cycle creates an amazing amount of awe and surprise to the life. Because all of a sudden you're going to see what you're meant to see. For example, in this 15th gate. All of a sudden you're like, okay, I see that. You're constantly meeting life. You don't change. You don't change, but you see it in a different, you see it the way you're meant to see it. So, you know, when we look at this evaluator here, totally different configuration. And this is what this person's meant to meet, right? Again, same thing. They actually have the 5th gate, waiting for the 15th gate. Okay? So it's about meeting on the other end. So they have this 2nd gate, and they're wondering, okay, so I have this higher knowing. So how do I take this higher knowing and bring in the people that have this ability to use their resource in this 14th gate? You know, use their resources. So you can guide people and evaluate the situation based off of your knowledge of the direction, and then you get to be wise as to how to, you know, what resources need to be expended on this vision, on this direction. So it's beautiful, a fascinating look at life. And these evaluators are priceless, because you stick one of these in a building of, you know, 1,000 people, you stick a few evaluators in, you get to then take a look at the evaluator, have conversations with the evaluator, and you get to absolutely pull the entire group. because these evaluators are able to sample everybody's aura and tell you what's happening. So again, very fascinating how each one of them looks completely different. They have completely different lives. And yes, is there life force running through them? Of course there is. However, it looks completely different from any other type. So what I hope for you as an evaluator or as a reflector, I hope that you can be in the best environment possible for you, and that you can just allow for that lunar cycle to bring the wisdom that is needed for every decision. And if you are one of these beings and you want to go forward and take a look at your chart and understand your chart a little differently and at a depth that, you know, is profound to you, give me a call and we'll definitely look at doing some coaching sessions. Because this isn't really about a reading. This is coaching you, you know, for a few months so that you can absolutely tap into that lunar cycle. And when you get good at it, you guys are the most stable people on the planet. Most stable people. Because the wisdom that you carry is beyond anything that anybody else holds. So if you are interested in, I don't ever know if that changes. If you're ever interested in understanding this cycle a little more, here's my information. Definitely, I would love to have an opportunity to coach you, to take a look at it with you, and to bring a new enlightened look at to your wisdom, because you are so wise. So thank you very much for your time, and I really, to the bottom of my soul, hope that you live a life of pure surprise and awe. Thank you.